Okay, everybody, I think we will get started now. So I will begin by sharing my screen. Just give me a thumbs up if you're able to see it okay. Excellent. I'm getting some thumbs up, so it seems like everyone is able to see this. But I would love to begin and introduce myself and the program and have everyone go around and introduce themselves as well. So my name is Kavya Balaji. I'm here on behalf of the Deputy Mayor's Office, and today we'll be discussing the Chinatown and Rhode Island Avenue lease programs. I'd love to introduce my colleague, Tariq, who will be a co-presenter today.
Hi, everyone. I am Tariq Sharif. As Kavya said, I am leading the Rhode Island Avenue and Lease Incentive Grant programs, supporting with Kavya on the Chinatown Lease Incentive Grants as well. So excited to have everyone here and talk about the programs and get some insights into how they operate and how we can support you in applying.
Thank you, Tariq. And it seems like we have some people from Malapia as well as our director. So if everyone can go around and introduce ourselves, I'll hand it off to Huang to begin.
Thanks, Kavya. Hi, everybody. My name is Huang Etulantes. I am the Community Outreach Manager for the Mayor's Office on Asian and Pacific Islanders Affairs. I have my two team members with me here who really are our ears and eyes on Chinatown. They interact almost daily with the community there. And so I'll pass it on to Jen to introduce a little bit more.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. I'm a community outreach specialist from Moapia. We've been supporting DEMPET for translating the no fuss and sending out the emails to our business owners for all three languages, the Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean, so that they can get our language support for the grant applications. And it's nice to see everyone here, and I'm happy to learn more about the grants. Thank you. I'll pass to Qing.
Thank you, Chen. My name is Qing, and I'm a community outreach specialist. My work mainly focuses on business outreach, resident outreach, and community engagement. I also help organize and coordinate events. Recently, we host several community and cultural events. Thank you for this section. I will pass to. Sorry. Next one. Thank you.
Great. Brennan, are you there?
Hi, team. My name is Brendan Hicks. I am the director for the business development team here in Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development.
Passing it to Liz because I see that she's on the call as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Anderson. I'm the Great Streets Retail Director. So excited that you are all here.
So that seems like everyone from the government side, and then we do have a handful of small businesses that are on, I'm sure, ready to listen in on Chinatown, Rhode Island Ave. Just a show of hands, how many people are here for Rhode Island? Okay, see one or two. For Chinatown, how many businesses are here to listen in on that? Okay, wonderful. So it looks like we have some businesses ready to listen in for Chinatown and a few businesses for Rhode Island. But again, this information session will be recorded and posted on the website, and we may likely do another in-person information session as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to gain information on this program if you have any questions as we move forward through the RFA period. Cool. So we are going to start off the session. So the session will start off with an overview of the grant. We will discuss the eligible neighborhoods for which businesses are able to actually apply for the grants, all of the information you need to know about program eligibility, the required documents that you will need in order to apply, what the scoring and review process is after you do apply, the timeline for the entire application process from the NOFA period all the way to the very end, and lastly, how you actually apply for the application.
Great, thanks, Kavya. So a quick introduction on the programs. These are lease incentive programs. And as you can see here, the goal of these programs is to provide support for small businesses that have or will sign long-term leases in the Chinatown neighborhood or the Rhode Island Avenue neighborhood. And we'll go over what those areas look like with a map coming up in a second. And the idea here is for Chinatown, businesses that will help maintain or enhance the cultural heritage of the neighborhood, and for Rhode Island Avenue neighborhood businesses that will help increase foot traffic and support the neighborhood as well. So for these two funding opportunities, the Chinatown program has up to $125,000 available in this fiscal year, and with if and when you win the award for this program, you'll be eligible for that same amount of funding that you're awarded in this fiscal year for up to 5 years, pending council approval and appropriations of that funding to continue. For Rhode Island Avenue, it's up to $350,000 total in the pot of funding, and that is a one-time award amount. The applications are currently open. They opened on Friday, May 15th, and they will close on June 22nd at 4 p.m. The award ranges, so each individual business for Chinatown is eligible from anywhere from $10,000 to $125,000, and for Rhode Avenue, your award size can be anywhere from $10,000 up to $100,000. All right, next slide, Kavya.
Yeah, and you can also scan the QR code right here if you want to learn more about the NOFA and RFA. This presentation will give you an overview of everything, but if you want to read about all of the details, and I highly recommend that you do that, please go through, read the RFA several times. You can scan the QR code here, but it is also accessible on our obviously DC website as well.
Yes, thank you for that. You'll see this QR code pop up a couple times with some other slides. So we can go to the next one. So eligibility area. So the eligibility area for the Rhode Island Avenue neighborhood and program, as well as the Chinatown program, are defined by the laws that implemented these programs. So these boundaries here, you can see anyone that is inclusive in this area is eligible to apply for this program. You can again scan the QR code here to go to an interactive map online where you can type in your address and see if you fall in or outside of the eligibility area. There's also a link here that you can see, you can click on. And these are also available in the RFA and the NOFA. So when you're doing your application, you'll be asked to confirm your address and ensure that it is within the eligibility area. And same for Chinatown. Again, these are the eligibility areas. You can see here, if you are inside of this dotted line, we have some markers here for Cap One Arena, so generally around that space. And those are the eligibility.
Hey, Tariq, sorry to interrupt. Are you guys sharing slides for this? Just, I don't, if you are sharing slide, we're not seeing it, FYI.
Oh, I see it, Huang.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can
Okay,
see
sorry.
it too, Huang.
Okay, then it must be me. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to confirm that.
Not a problem.
Yep.
Nope, not a problem. Yeah, if you are having trouble seeing them, let us know and we'll we can see if we can work through that as well.
And this entire recording will also be posted. So if you're having any trouble viewing it, you can also go to the website and review the recording of this presentation afterwards as well.
Yes. Thank you for that, Kavya. All right. Eligibility, Kavi, if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So both of these programs, aside from a couple different differences, and we'll go through that in tremendous detail so you won't be confused, they follow very similar areas of eligibility. So for Chinatown and for Rhode Island Avenue, you must follow the below criteria. So you must be registered as an entity in the District of Columbia. You must be in good standing with a number of different government agencies that include DLCP, OTR, IRS, and DOES. All of the businesses are required to have fewer than 30 full-time employees. The goal of this program is to encourage long-term leases in these respective neighborhoods. So you must show that you already have a long-term lease or you're about to sign a long-term lease. And in the next slide, I'll go over the specific details of that. It's also important that the business offers retail, educational experiences, entertainment, food, or other services. Essentially, we're looking for businesses that are showing investment into the neighborhoods that they're within. So showing some sort of connection or goal or plan to improve these areas is very essential. So we're looking for businesses that are hoping to attract foot traffic directly to Rhode Island or to Chinatown as well. And so we're also looking for businesses that are within the fresh food or grocery store area. If you're not within that area, that's okay, but preference and priority will be given to businesses that are attracting grocery stores or fresh food. So here are some of the differences between the two grants. So for Rhode Island Avenue, we're allowing a lease length defined as 5-year lease with a minimum of 3 years remaining. So if you have an existing lease as of June 22nd, we're allowing you to have up to, if you have 3 years remaining on that, that is completely okay as long as you have a total of 5 years. However, for Chinatown, the minimum lease length that you must have remaining is 5 years as of May 15th. So you can have a existing lease with 5 years left on it. You can have an existing lease period with any number of years, but you need to show that you have at least 5 years left remaining as of May 15th. So with Rhode Island, there's a little bit more flexibility. You can be in an existing lease with 3 years left, but that is not the case with the Chinatown lease. And then another difference between the two programs is that because Rhode Island Avenue is part of the Great Streets Grant, for businesses that have received funding from the Great Streets program in 2026, 2025, 2024, 2022, in the last 3 years, you're not eligible to apply for Rhode Island Avenue. However, because Chinatown is not part of the Great Streets Corridor, if you have received funding from any other program, you are still allowed to apply for the Chinatown Lease Incentive Grant, but we do give priority preferences to businesses that have never received funding from DEMPED before.
Thank you, Kavya. So that's the eligibility requirements. And we want to talk about a little about the business types that we're looking for. We mentioned retail businesses that are supporting and growing the cultural heritage and in driving foot traffic and enhancing the neighborhoods. So the ineligible businesses are businesses that are not allowed to apply are those that fall into these categories. So adult entertainment, auto body repair, banks, any cannabis or ethnogenic plants and fungus businesses. That would be dispensaries or those that sell psychedelic or other types of drugs are legal, of course. Selling illegal drugs is an illegal business, so that would not be eligible regardless. And e-commerce businesses without a brick and mortar location. So this has to be a physical location that is doing business and operating out of that physical space. No home-based businesses. So if you have your own business that's out of your home or locate your home address as the where the business is registered, the business is not eligible. Insurance offices, medical office providers, nightclubs, phone stores, realtor offices, any seasonal businesses that are only open for part of the year, so pop-ups or winter businesses or just summer-only businesses, and then any electronic equipment facility, and of course, any business that is not maintaining or enhancing the cultural identity of Chinatown, or driving foot traffic or supporting the and maintaining the appearance of the Rhode Island Avenue corridor would not be eligible. And that is a specific requirement for Chinatown because part of the program is to support the enhancement of the cultural identity of Chinatown, which is a criteria for scoring. So please be aware of that as well. So we want to go over the documents. I know this can always be a difficult portion of grant applications for the government. It's not one that we love to create layers that can be difficult to meet in these standards. However, they are compliance and required by statute in DC government, so we're unable to waive these requirements. So please take your time, ask questions, and make sure if there are any issues with these components that we can help you with that. So quickly going through these, the business license, you have to be a business that is certified in DC. So that is one that you have to have. An executed lease, so we can ensure and guarantee that you do have the minimum requirements on the lease standard. So again, 5 years from time of application to open for Chinatown, and 5 years with at least 3 years remaining for the Rhode Island Avenue program. We're going to want to see a project budget and schedule to ensure that this is aligning with the needs, any sources or uses of the funding that you intend to use it for, a certificate of good standing to ensure that you're in compliance with the district on taxes and licenses, a clean hand certificate, again, same kind of thing. We'll need to see a tax certificate affidavit ensuring that you, to the best of your knowledge, have no issues with back taxes in the district. A tax compliance report, which you can find at irs.gov. A landlord affidavit ensuring that your landlord is aware that you are applying for this and supports your application. A debarment affidavit, which again ensures that you have not been banned from applying for receiving funding doing business with DC government. An arrest and conviction statement is just for background check. A statement of certification, again, same process again for the background check and ensuring that everything you're submitting is accurate and truthful. Your W-9, which we will need in order to verify your business entity and ensure that if and when you do receive funding, we can transfer the funds directly to you. We'll need an affidavit confirming that you have read through the insurance policies that the government requires for you to maintain when applying for these grants. That information is in the RFA. Please do not skip over it. It is very important. We have to certify the compliance with that, and we will require a certificate of insurance prior to any awards being made. We'll need your Dun & Bradstreet number, which is just your federal certification that you can do business and have a business entity and license in the US. 2 years of tax returns. That is, again, a compliance requirement. We just require, I believe it's the first 2 pages of the tax returns to show the overall numbers for your business. Any other required financial documents that you might need as part of this application process, that's all listed out in the RFA and the application itself. We have a page at the very end that tells you what documents to upload, where to, and how to do that. A statement of your financial position. Again, this is just confirming where you are as a business, ensuring that you are operating properly and that there is financial viability. So if we're providing the funding to you, you will continue to operate and maintain operations throughout the grant agreement period. And then the ethics accountability statement. And then lastly, if you are a nonprofit, just a confirmation of that nonprofit status with your nonprofit number and EIN.
Next, we'll move on to the eligible uses of funding. So this is something that has actually changed from the last year. So we have opened up the grant to allow for more uses. So if you've applied for this grant in the past or have been familiar with this grant in the past, be aware that the process has changed a little bit. So in the past, we've only allowed eligible rent payments, but this year we're allowing for businesses to use the funding towards tenant improvements as well. So if you're not familiar with what a tenant improvement is, well, I'll describe that in detail now. And also in terms of the time frame in which we can utilize the tenant improvements, it's any time between May 15th, 2026 to September 30th, 2027. So even if you're not selected for the grant until several months from now, you can always backdate and reimburse the funding, anything that you used starting from May 15th, which is the open date of the RFA. So some examples of eligible uses for tenant improvements include interior facade improvements that don't impact any structure. So if it's impacting the structure, that is not considered a tenant improvement. But some examples of that include lighting, open layouts, carpentry, cabinets, countertops, room partitions, flooring, painting, wall covering, ceiling fans, doors, windows, hardware. Again, these are all considered interior facade improvements that do not impact the actual structure of the building. Another example of a tenant improvement that is allowable is plumbing and electrical installations. Any engineering or architectural design fees are allowed. Built-in fixtures or millwork is allowed, and large immovable furniture is allowed. Now, if you have a business that you don't want to do any tenant improvements, that is completely okay. You can just indicate that on your application. There will be an area for you to describe your budget and how exactly you plan on using the funding for your project. If you want to do rent payments, you might request, say, 1 month of rent that you hope to get paid off within a year, and then you can request around that amount of funding and receive just that amount of funding, and you don't have to apply it towards tenant improvements at all. Now, just to make sure you understand the use of funds, and this way we can make sure that the applications that we receive are in line with the actual goals of our program, I'm just going to run a little activity to make sure that you are paying attention on the last slide. So rent, is that an allowable expenses? Anyone wants to answer? Thank you, Chet. Chet says rent is allowable. Let's check that. Yes, it's an allowable expense. What about marketing? Is that allowed? All right, I'm gonna answer it. Oh no, Mesfin is saying that marketing is allowed. No, unfortunately, marketing is not allowable through this because that wouldn't be considered a tenant improvement. Payroll. Nope, payroll is also not an eligible expense. Architectural design fees. All right, y'all are a little bit shy. Thank you, Mesfin. Yes, you are correct. This is an eligible expense. Ceiling fan. Yes, thank you again, Mesfin. This is also an eligible expense. Lastly, installing cabinets. This is an eligible expense. Nope, there's some more. Small equipment like laptops, not an eligible expense. That's not considered tenant improvements. And that is it for the activity. Now, when you apply for an application like this and you are applying for tenant improvements, you don't have to worry about this so much if you're just applying for rent, but if you're applying for tenant improvements, we do ask that you submit an overview of your project and let us know what, Justin has a question about legal fees. We'll go back to the previous question. Legal fees are legal fees allowed for securing a long-term eligible lease? I don't believe legal fees are allowable in the funding uses.
Yeah, legal fees for securing the long-term lease would not be eligible as part of this program. That would be something you'd have to do before you complete the application, and that would be considered a part of the application process, submitting an executed lease to us.
Yes, so just a reminder, these are the eligible uses of funds. So only towards rental payments or towards these eligible tenant improvements. So exterior facade would not be allowed, Huang. That was a question that I also see. Only interior facade improvements that do not impact structure would be allowed within this. Okay, back to this side. So as I was mentioning, you would need to propose a project where you list out all of the different items that you're requesting. You have to list out the items, describe a justification, describe the cost of the item, and of that cost, how much are you requesting from the lease incentive program? How much are you contributing as an owner or through an external source of funding? So this is an example of a business that has been successful in receiving grant funding in the past and a very good budget that we always recommend to businesses. So here, one of the items that they're requesting is exterior lighting. So this is not an allowable expense through this program, but this is just an example. In this case, perhaps if you're proposing interior lighting, that could be a eligible expense, but they're describing the street visibility, safety, security, and the facade improvement, how the allocation for this lighting is really, again, essential to improving the safety of the area, how it's going to create a welcoming atmosphere. So they're connecting it to how this is going to improve the district as well as the business specifically, and all of the different ways it's going to enhance their business. And then they've described that it's $9,000 as a cost. So they're requesting $9,000 from the project, from the grant program, and they're contributing $1,000. So they're actually requesting $8,000 from the grant program. So I would just double check as you're requesting these items that every request that you're making is reasonable, it's justified, and that it's connected to the greater goals of your business. Now, if you are requesting something like, if you're requesting just tenant improvements, if that's your entire category, then that's really unclear to us what all specific items that you're requesting. And if you've actually done your research on what those items will be and how that's going to support your business, I would recommend being as specific as possible with the exact funding amounts. Try to go to the dollar amount if you can and really show that you've taken the time to determine how these items are going to support your business. And that will really strengthen your application if you go about it that way.
Great. And then so just to give you an understanding of how we're going to be reviewing and scoring these applications, we're using the same criteria with an additional component for the Chinatown program. So overall, we're reviewing your project overview. What does your program look like? What is the intent? What's the background of your business? What are you proposing? We want to get an idea for the capacity of the application team, understanding who's going to be carrying out, the day of the award. If it is, again, just for rent costs, then that's fairly straightforward. One person as an owner can do that, and it's really easy. Nothing too crazy. And then we also want to know, again, as part of that, what does your staffing look like? What is the work you're doing on a day-to-day basis? And then for the tenant improvement component of this, the capacity is really important for us to understand who's working on the project and what programs or grants of that scope you've taken on in the past. Again, financial viability, which is why we're looking at the tax components, understanding how your business is operating and what's going on there, so we can, again, understand the viability. If you're proposing a tenant improvement, what does that look like if you are asking for a $200,000 interior improvement? And the maximum award for Chinatown is $125,000, let's say. How are you making up that additional $75,000, and where is that funding coming from? And then the last component here for Rhode Island will be the projected or estimated economic impact. So again, if we're receiving this funding, what does it look like for your the impact on the local economy and that corridor? Are you creating new jobs, full-time, part-time, temporary for construction? What does that look like in terms of offering new amenities to the neighborhood, or new programs or projects, new line of or extended hours for a restaurant, let's say, or a new specialized line of clothing that you're offering in a retail space, whatever it could be. And then for the Chinatown grant specifically, we're looking for information on the cultural significance and the community relevance. So doing a little bit of a deeper dive into the amenities being provided, how that supports the cultural significance of the Chinatown neighborhood. And if you are already in that neighborhood providing these services, and your business would not be able to continue operations without this funding, what does that look like for something that could be lost to that neighborhood as well? That's a part of that. So we want to understand what that looks like, and how that will support the neighborhood, the feel, the growth, the vibe, if you will, going forward. And then the timeline for how this operates. So we're currently in the application open period right now. It opened last Friday on May 15th. It'll continue to stay open until June 22nd. And it will close at 4 p.m. We've highlighted that so everyone is aware. It is not 5 p.m. It is 4 p.m. That is your submission deadline. If you do not make it in by that deadline, then you will not be able to be considered for this application. Now, last year we did extend the application deadline. If we do that, we will let everyone know. We will post on the website and send out information to applicants and anyone who is registered in the system doing the application. However, at this time, we are not anticipating extending the deadline. So please make sure you get in early. We advise that you don't wait until the last week or the last day to start or submit. If there are any technical difficulties, please notify our programs and grants teams ahead of time so we can support you. Having a technical difficulty in the application process and not meeting the deadline is not grounds for an extension. And that is clearly defined in our RFA. So please make sure you read through that. And again, if you have questions, let us know. Once that program period is closed, we will review and pre-screen the grants for eligibility to confirm the eligibility that we discussed earlier from June 26th to July 3rd. And then we'll enter the full evaluation of the applications. And we anticipate sending conditional award notifications from between the timeline of July 31st to August 28th. And once you have that from there and confirmation of those final submissions and compliance checks, we can then issue the award letters and notifications and make sure the payments start going out. So how do you apply? Well, you're going to want to go to, there's a couple locations to find the information from. The main component of where you find it is the DEMPED website. And you can see we have a link here, dc-DEMPED. It's a longer one here. However, that is where the primary location to find them. You will be able to click into the application itself and read the NOFA and the RFA. Again, please read the RFA thoroughly. And then you can enter into the application portal, which is through Submittable. It's a new portal we have this year. And you'll be able to go through and click on apply for the program. You can see in the picture of the screenshot on the right, these are the available programs and funding opportunities we have right now. You'll click the one you want. You'll scroll down to the one you would like to apply for. You can preview the application itself or apply for the program directly. You can click, once you click apply, you will go out and enter in all the information, answer all the questions, and then at the very end of the application, upload and complete all the documents. Make sure you're creating a thorough project, especially if you are applying for tenant improvements. That's something we need to get a little more information and more details on. If it's simply a rent program, again, we want all the details, but your budget and project components will be can be a little bit lighter. Again, if you need assistance, reach out early. If you need translation support, we can work on providing that and support that as well. And again, make sure you submit early. You can keep your application in draft mode, go back and look at it as many times as you want. Again, make sure you're submitting. If there's any questions or challenges, reach out to us and we're here to support you. And then questions. And I know we have a few here in the chat, a couple that we've already addressed. So the first one I see here is an alcohol store allowable. When you say an alcohol store, in what way are you referring to? A bar, a restaurant, or a liquor, wine, beer store?
Yeah, like a liquor store in Chinatown.
I don't believe that would be an eligible business. I will confirm.
So I don't know that we've explicitly outlined that an alcohol business cannot apply. However, because the goal of the program is to enhance cultural identity and support the community and engage in a various number of educational programs, a business, any business will need to really spend their time in their application showing how they're going to align themselves to that. So I think that might be a tough case for an alcohol store to make, but if that's a case that they're willing to make, then we will accept that application.
And then the other questions, I think we've answered a couple of these already. Justin, I see your second question there. A letter of intent to sign a lease without a fully executed lease. That is acceptable in the RFA. We do want to make sure that that is signed and completed. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and Kavi, you can correct me on this for Chinatown, that would need to be completed before the closure of the application, I believe.
Yeah, let me get the exact date on the letter of intent, and I can add that to the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Adding a second location on Island Avenue, renovating the location for full restaurant, will that be considered? Can you give me some more details on that, Mesman?
Sure. So we have currently we have a full restaurant, coffee shop in Kennedy Avenue, and now we're trying to add another one in Rhode Island Avenue. Well.
Yeah, so if you're adding a new location and you have that letter of intent or executed lease, it meets those requirements. If you're doing, you could use this funding to support the rent components of that, and or some of the renovation components, as long as they meet the required the requirements and eligibility that we have that we've listed out here as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
See, I see the question here as well. So if you feedback from Chinatown business owners that their landlord is only willing to sign a 4-year lease to 2030, since it will be a full decade to start again. Is there anything they can do if they can't present a 5-year lease? At this time, based on legislation, we have to have at least 5 years on that lease. We will speak with our legal team about this specific situation, and we will get back to you on that. And if you can have those businesses reach out to us directly with their situation, it may be a situation in which they already have a lease and they want to extend for a component number of years, and we can review that with our legal team and give you a definitive answer on a business by business case. My initial hunch, based on, again, on the legislation that authorized these grant programs, is they would need to have 5 years on the lease or an agreement to extend for that 1 year past, but we will confirm. Yeah, and these are great questions, and these are gonna come up as you do the application. And this, again, like I said, so some of these will be determined on a case-by-case basis of how, not on the eligibility or what needs to change in the program eligibility requirements, but how a business can go about ensuring they are eligible for this program. So they will be, especially with the lease component, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us directly. And Kavya has moved the slide forward so you can see how to contact us. And we would be happy to discuss and provide insight on how to do that process.
And back to your question, Justin, a letter of intent to sign a lease is acceptable. So if you have that and you don't have a fully executed lease, we'll accept that. But it would be great if the letter of intent described that the lease that you're hoping to get into will be a long-term lease.
Yeah, and adding to that, Justin, that you would need prior to an award, you would need to execute that lease. That would be one of the things that's part of the compliance component. So you can have letter of intent to apply, but you would need to have an executed lease prior to receiving any funding.
I would take a picture of this, Mesfin. That way you have these emails ready to go. But our email addresses may also be in the RFA as well if you click on that. Also, for people who are interested in applying for Chinatown or working with other Chinatown businesses, we do have Moapia that has graciously offered to provide translation assistance. So if you have any questions regarding that, please reach out to Moapia as well. And I'm sure some of the members that are on this call can add on as well. Great. And it looks like Huang put your information in the chat itself. Great. Thank you everybody for all of your questions. Are there any more questions about either Rhode Island Avenue or Chinatown? The positive thing is that it's only May 19th, so there's over a month until this application closes. So the fact that you all are here is a great sign because it shows that you are learning and you're getting started very early into the process. Sometimes these documents can take a while to procure and get together and apply. So definitely start as early as possible. You're here, great start. Keep going with that. Start the application as soon as possible. Reach out if you need translation assistance as soon as possible. And I think that would be my best suggestion to all of you. If there are no other questions, then we can start closing off the session. So again, thank you everybody for attending. This session will be recorded and posted on the website. Hopefully we'll do another in-person information session and have some more materials going out on how to apply. But yeah, if there's no other questions, thank you all for joining and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.